Hey guys, Eric and Roth here to talk about The Walking Dead Season 4 premiere. 30 days without an incident, as you were just saying, Roth. 30 days without an incident, and then...
all of the incidents at once.
Right. Good thing the cameras are rolling for that.
Exactly. Imagine how boring the season would have been if we had been there for those 30 days.
Right. But we do begin with this little sliver of what life's been like for them.
Sure.
Just continuing, and they're farming, and they've got a much bigger community than we've ever seen.
Guns.
They're farming guns, and then there's some zombies outside, and they're like, oh, some of them are. There's a lot of them at that clump of the fence. We should get rid of. It was interesting to see kind of how they could sort of become mundane with zombies there, but of course, something horrible is about to happen.
Of course, as usual, something horrible happens. I mean, I will agree that there's some part of me that wants to get more of a feel of everyday life, you know. But at the same time, if we had to watch too much of that, it would get quite boring.
Yeah.
So the first thing that we see that I sort of liked was the exchange. Well, first of all, we see that Rick is taking a different stance. He's kind of taking a different role in the community. It's because Farmer Rick.
Yes.
And it's because mostly of Carl. I think that he's really determined to keep Carl a child, even though he sort of already lost that opportunity. He's young sir, not little child Carl.
Yeah, it was interesting because Rick has kind of become very passive. He's farming. I mean, he's helping, but he's farming. But he has to be told by Herschel, you need to carry your gun.
Yeah.
And then it was funny when Carol, of all people, is teaching the children how to be good with weapons and has to warn Carl, don't tell your dad.
Don't tell your dad.
And so it's pretty funny that we have shifted things to enough where Carol is kind of being the badass sort of, let's get ready for
whatever.
Bad things are going to happen, yeah.
I will say that was my probably second favorite moment of the episode. And the reason is, Carol has probably had one of the more interesting, if you stop to think about it, one of the more interesting character developments on the show.
Yeah.
She's taken quite an arc from how she came in to where she is now.
We've come a long way from the looking for Sophia era.
Well, not just even looking for Sophia, from battered wife syndrome, And so what I like about that is one of the big complaints about the show is, of course, the writing on the women. I will agree with that. But they've done a good job with Carol so far, and I feel good about where it's possibly going for her. And it was a good contrast between her and Rick and where they've come.
Yeah, I thought that was really good too. You said that was your second favorite thing of the premiere. I'm gonna hope that your favorite thing might have been mine.
I think it was.
My favorite thing as just a horror fan was that whole sequence in the sort of Costco-like market that they were raiding for supplies. This was one of the coolest sequences they've ever had on The Walking Dead, just from a pure sort of horror movie perspective. It looked really big and epic.
They spent money on it.
They spent money. It was super gory. I mean, the zombie hanging by his guts.
Yeah, that was the moment. That was the moment that I was watching it with someone, and I turned to them like, oh, awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Lots of splattering.
Well, there's lots of splatter, lots of gore. I mean, but it was also really tense and scary,
it was,
which for a long time the show just hasn't been that scary. The zombies were sort of a non-entity last season, I'm glad they came back. I'm glad they came back in force, and I'm glad that this was a legitimately frightening sequence.
Yeah, that was a really cool sequence. It led to the death of a character we had just met.
Ensign 5, as I call it. We had a couple of Ensign 5s this week, and it was interesting because now with the influx of the community from Woodbury, I thought, okay, now we're going to have more of these sort of like predictably disposable characters.
Yeah.
I wonder, or is it just this week? Because the two people that came in and they're like, "Hi, I'm new." I was like, "Well, goodbye."
Right. I was a little surprised because it was Kyle Gallner, who was from Veronica Mars and Smallville, had some notable things, but he was there to basically show us the change of Beth. Because this was her boyfriend, and she was like, "Oh, well, that sucked."
I'm glad they're doing something with Beth.
Yeah.
And I'm hesitant, I'm like cautiously optimistic about this, although I wasn't completely sold on this turn for her. Because all we've ever seen her do is sing and try to kill herself. Right. And now she's this like happy sort of, it's interesting because she doesn't have emotions, and yet there's a kindness to her. I thought that was kind of an interesting choice. I'm just happy I got to know him.
Yeah, yeah. She's been such a blank slate, so we really could go anywhere with her. I do hope we finally get to know her one way or the other. Kind of circling back around, though, to Rick, he did have his whole journey with that very creepy woman who I wouldn't have trusted from the second I met her.
Okay, thank you. I mean, the minute this woman shows up, I'm like, Rick!
There's something very wrong.
There's something very wrong with her. She's clearly disturbed. She looks terrifying. This is going nowhere good, fast. And so do you think that it was him kind of in this, I don't know, I thought one of two things. One is that he's so course correcting for where he had gone that he's overdone it. And now he's trusting people.
Now he's trying to welcome everyone.
And he's trusting people that he knows good and well he should not trust. Or there's some part of him that's like suicide by crazy, you know? Like, is he? I don't think he's distraught. I don't know.
I don't know. It's hard to see. He does seem like a part of him's checked out, so it's kind of hard to see. Like, you know, he's obviously still protective of Carl, but it just kind of seemed like maybe part of him is just not all there anymore. And I don't know. You were saying earlier when we were talking about this before we were filming that, you know, maybe we've seen this beat a little before. Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing. Let me explain what I mean by suicide by crazy really quickly too. There's a term called suicide by cop, which is people basically get themselves killed by forcing the police to kill them. And like walking into this situation is like you could easily be getting yourself killed here. Probably you can take her down, but you know.
Yeah.
Here's the
what
thing.
if she's bringing you to a bunch of people?
Exactly. You don't know. So here's the thing is that last season, we already saw Rick confront where he was maybe headed if he continued down the crazy-making fantasy line that he had been going on with seeing dead Lori and things like that. But it was with a character that had significance to us because this is the man that first saved Rick. This is the man that, you know, we felt connected to. So there was more power to that journey.
With Morgan.
With Morgan. Yeah, saying thank you with Morgan. Say his name. With Morgan than there was with this random woman. And I wasn't sure if this was just like a reminder beat. Like, remember, guys, Rick was scared that he was going to go crazy.
Right.
You know?
And then, lastly, I will say let's keep an eye on Bob because it's another character from the comic books.
Big character.
Who makes a big intro here and is so like, I want to contribute. Like you said, we have these, he was one of 2 new people who went on the trip. One of them came back and it's him, so. And
I will say lastly that I did sort of like that fan service moment with Daryl where it was like, you know, hey Daryl, you're going to have to get used to the love if you're going to be the guy that you are. I thought that was sort of like a tip of the hat to how the fans feel about Daryl as a character.
Yeah.
Also, are they dating?
It's not clear.
It's so unclear.
Have they kissed? I don't even understand.
I don't even understand what's going on with Daryl and Carol.
Yeah.
You guys leave your guesses about that. Overall, though, did you like the episode?
I did like the episode. I thought it was a solid premiere. I'm a little shaky like you are on exactly where we're going with Rick, but and I will say that whole sequence kind of made it for me. That horror sequence made the episode for me because it was so cool. And we do know now what the new threat is. It's disease, which you guessed. Yes.
Boom! Before I forget, I completely called that it was going to be a disease was the new threat. I think it makes a lot of sense on multiple levels, first of which is just culling this new community so they don't have so many characters to deal with, frankly. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. Listen, I'm cautiously optimistic. I thought last season started out really strong. Went a little off the rails. We've culled some of the characters that weren't working. We can focus now on these new ones. And I really hope that everyone gets the same level of development that some of our more favorite characters have.
I agree. Hopefully third showrunner's the charm. let us know what you thought of the Walking Dead Season 4 premiere in the comments. Are you happy with this Rick storyline? Did you think it was as awesome as us when the zombie was hanging by its own guts? Let us know, and we'll be talking more Walking Dead as the season progresses, guys. Thanks.